All right, let's dive into an amazing story today. It's all about how one small rabbit, with nothing but the knowledge he got from a book, ended up facing a huge threat and actually saved his entire world. And really, it all boils down to this question. When you think of superpowers, right? You probably think of flying or super strength. But what if? What if the biggest superpower of all is just knowing things, understanding the world around you? That's what this story is all about. A hero whose only power was what he'd learned. So picture this, a really beautiful, peaceful forest. Life there was just one big celebration. Seriously, if a monkey was getting married or a bear cub was having its first day of school, everyone was there. They were all one big, happy family. It sounds perfect, right? A totally peaceful world? But then, everything changed. Out of nowhere, this horrible mechanical roar just rips through the quiet. It was a sound none of them had ever heard before. And just like that, the peace was gone. Panic just exploded. Animals were scrambling everywhere, trying to find cover. Their entire world was just thrown into total chaos. And what was making all that noise? Humans, with these giant, scary machines. And while most of the animals were just frozen in fear, there was one little rabbit, Benny, who knew exactly what was going on. Why? Because he'd read about it. He'd read all about these machines in a book, and he knew without a doubt they were there to cut down the forest. You can just imagine the fear, right? All the other animals, they were just panicking. All they could think was, our homes, our nests, our burrows, they're going to be destroyed. It was just pure chaos and despair. I mean, where would they even go? What could they possibly do? But Benny was seeing the bigger picture. He looked right past the immediate threat, beyond just their individual homes. He understood that the entire forest, the whole ecosystem, the very future of their world was on the line. And this is where Benny just lays it all out for them. He starts explaining, look, this isn't just about losing our homes. He's talking about soil erosion that's going to cause floods. He's talking about more carbon dioxide in the air, making it harder to breathe. He even explains how, in the end, the humans themselves are going to suffer from this. This wasn't just him being scared. This was real, deep knowledge about how their world worked. Now, of course, not everyone bought it right away. You can imagine there was some skepticism. The elephants, in particular, were like, wait a minute, how does this one small rabbit know all this stuff? I mean, these are complicated ideas that it seems like even the humans don't get. So how could he? Benny's answer was so simple, but so powerful. He just said, I learned it all from books. The one thing he probably got teased for, right, being a bookworm, well, that was now their best and maybe only hope. And you know what? He didn't see it as a weird hobby. He called it an honor. His knowledge wasn't magic. It was something he had earned, page by page. So, as the loggers fired up their machines again, that terrifying sound suddenly meant something different. It was a wake-up call. Benny's words had sunk in, and the animals realized, okay, freaking out isn't going to help us. It was time to stop running and start standing together. And Benny didn't just give them a pep talk. He gave them an actual plan. And it was a really smart, non-violent plan. First, the elephants, the heavy hitters, they'd form the front line. Then the horses, zebras, and monkeys would back them up. The idea was for everyone to charge forward, making as much noise as possible. But here's the most important part. Keep a safe distance. The goal was just to scare them, not to hurt anyone. See? This was a battle of brains, not just brawn. And wow, did it work. Can you just imagine that sound? The trumpeting of the elephants, the neighing of the horses, all the monkeys chattering, it all came together in this one massive roar of defiance. That was the sound of a forest literally fighting for its life. The loggers had no idea what hit them. They were completely caught by surprise. Faced with this stampede of unified animals, they just dropped everything and ran. They absolutely ran for their lives. It was an incredible victory, a real David and Goliath moment, But just as they started to celebrate, they saw it. In all the chaos, one of the humans had dropped a cigarette, a single tiny burning ember. And that tiny spark was about to become a whole new massive problem. So you have to wonder, right? After staring down those giant, scary machines, what could possibly be worse? Well, the answer is something a lot more chaotic, something you can't reason with. Fire. Yeah, the absolute worst nightmare for a forest. The wind caught it, and that little flame just started to spread, and spread fast. It was threatening to burn down everything they had just fought so hard to save. The celebration was over. A whole new panic set in. But Benny, he didn't even flinch. While everyone else was starting to panic all over again, his brain was already clicking, already working on the next plan. It just goes to show you, real leadership really shines when things get tough. And he didn't waste a second. He immediately shouted a new command to the elephants. Yep, the same ones who had doubted him earlier. He told them to get to the river now. They filled up their trunks with water and basically became a living, breathing fire brigade, spraying down the flames with amazing power. And everyone worked together, following the elephant's lead. And they did it. They put the fire out. The forest, after facing 2 huge threats in a single day, was finally truly safe. That one day, well, it changed absolutely everything. The forest went from being a place full of fear and confusion to one defined by courage and unity. And maybe the biggest change of all? Knowledge. You know, the book learning that used to be dismissed was now seen as the most valuable thing they had. So, in the end, Benny's love for books did way more than just stop a disaster. It actually started something new, a real culture of learning for everyone in the forest. His bravery showed them all that real strength, true strength, comes from understanding the world around you. And that really leaves us with one last thing to think about. Benny used what he knew to protect his world. And it kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it? What knowledge is out there right now that could help us protect our world?